All right, well, welcome to the Sports Guyz weekend recap. This is June 3rd, 2025. We're talking about the finals, both hockey and NBA tonight. We got some other sports stories as well to get to, but the two big series are now set. You've got Florida against the Edmonton Oilers, a rematch from last year. And then you've got I think it's going to be a great NBA final. You got the Indiana Pacers facing off against the OKC Thunder, who were the best team all year. How you doing, Robbie?
Doing great. Just came back from the boys' game. They're the Mets this year.
Nice.
They won 13-9 with a huge win, and now they get to go play tomorrow night to see who wins first for the division.
Nice.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it was fun seeing them.
Really
and they had both guys had pivotal game parts of the game, so they contributed. It was fun.
Nice.
Really fun.
That's great. What are your thoughts about these two series? What's your initial kind of analysis coming out of both of them? I think they're both going to be pretty good series.
You know, they say that it's better to be hot than good at the end of the season. But when you're one of the best teams and you get hot, I think that's what we're looking at here with these four teams. I'm really excited. These are going to be really good series in theory because the matchups are going to be strong. I really think these are the four hottest teams, and they also happen to be the deepest and strongest. So should be lined up for both leagues to be very happy with the results.
You realize that the Florida Panthers have made 3 straight finals? Like, that just doesn't happen in major sports. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean they're a dynasty now, and they look incredible. They just play so tough. Their defense is just insane. Their goalie's amazing. They're going up against the Oilers, who want a little revenge, and they have some of the best players in hockey. So,
and even more unlikely than the 3 straight finals for a dynasty. That's pretty unlikely, but really even more unlikely is that these two teams will come back together a year later in a rematch series.
Literally a rematch, yeah.
So I don't know. There's some compelling stories to that about whether the Oilers are going to have that revenge in mind, whether they can get over the hump, or whether Florida's the better team. And we're going to get into that tonight, all the details. We'll see what you think, and what we're going to go over what some of the analysts in the market think. There's really kind of a lot of different opinions on both sides. It's really interesting. It tells me it's going to be a close series because people are really split on who they think's going to win.
You never know about close series and all that. You hope for what should happen, but you clearly are unable to predict all that. But you can certainly say that the amount of talent lined up against each other is pretty epic. And so the opportunity for an epic series is pretty large, and just you never know. You could have a couple soft goals from some of the best goalies in hockey, and that's not to be expected, but it could happen. And then the whole thing swings, and then you have teams chasing, and that's what you want to avoid.
You have the 2 best players out of 3 in hockey on the Oilers side. You have the best goalie on the Florida side. And then you have, I think, the deepest team on the Florida side. Deepest, like from first line down to the fourth line. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be a great series. What about the NBA series? What's your first take there?
Well, I think, again, you have 2 really hot teams that also are loaded with talent. I mean, the depth for Indiana is amazing, and OKC's been kind of the best team all year. So it's going to be a really exciting series, and the best part is it's introducing America to new stars. They're new faces that are going to be multiplying the star power of the league, and the NBA does a pretty good job of star power and building up future heroes of little guys. So
that makes a really good point, because you've got SGA who just won the MVP. People are still getting to know him. There are a lot of people who still don't know who he is, and they're going to know after this series.
Yeah, they've heard his name, but they don't really know what he is, And
then Halliburton has been coming on for about 3 years, but he just absolutely exploded in these playoffs. I mean, he's completely arrived. So you now have
what's incredible is when Halliburton doesn't play well, they lose. So he's very much instrumental in the success and the victories.
You have the Pacers who made it to the Final Four last year. They finally made it to the Final Two this year. You have everyone's assuming that the Thunder are going to win this series. The people have been picking the Thunder the whole year, including me. I chose them in the preseason to win the whole thing. So, do you think the Pacers have a chance?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The way they play team defense and the way they play as a team and the way they're coached, they absolutely have a chance. Would I bet my house on it? No, but I would look at it like they've got a puncher's chance, no question.
I think they have a chance. I think it's because they are so deep. Like they go 12 deep on their roster,
Yeah.
and they play incredible defense. They've had
They
the
slap the floor on defense. Yep.
best defensive stats in the playoffs so far. Um, they are a little bit deeper than the Thunder, but the Thunder starting five is better. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. We'll make our calls on both of these series towards the end of the episode and tell people what we think. But it's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to watching both. Then you got the College World Series in full swing. A lot of great games over the weekend. We're going to go over some of the results there. There were a lot of really big time programs knocked out already, which was really surprising. Some of them were hosting regionals and they got knocked out. And so I'm going to get your theory about why so many of the big dogs have been knocked out already this year and why they're going down and why you're not seeing the favorites win. You're seeing a lot of these underdog teams like Wright State knock off the number one seed and things like that. So we're going to get into that. And then there's some NFL news we got to go over as well. And then, of course, at the very end of the program, we're going to give a little send off to our coach, Brian O'Connor from Virginia, the baseball coach, 22 years. He's taken us from baseball obscurity to being on the map, and just really sad to see him leave Charlottesville. But
So I think what you're saying, Tom, is that we have a jam-packed show. It's
we
kind
have
of
a lot going on. We have a lot going on. Anything else strike your fancy this weekend?
Metallica struck my fancy, but other than that,
Yeah.
yeah,
For
it's
those
just
of you
good
who
sports.
didn't see our episode, we did a concert Saturday night, and we took a lot of good photos, a lot of good videos. We posted it out there, and weren't really sure how it was going to do. And there's 45,000 views already, and we just are astonished at the reaction. So thank you guys so much for those who watched it, and for those who didn't, go check it out. It's pretty cool. We try to capture as many of the songs and kind of the whole spirit of the night that we could. So
Yeah, we had a good time.
any thoughts about that night, Robbie? It was pretty epic.
Well, just the sound quality was probably my biggest takeaway. That Metallica is still bringing clean, powerful music, and it's just how they can still do that after 35 years or whatever.
Have you ever seen a
Incredible.
concert in a round like that before? I've never
Yeah,
seen.
yeah.
Have you? Were
I've
you
seen them
everyone
in
sits
I've
around?
seen them in the round before.
That was cool.
Yeah,
That
but I
was
saw
really
them
good. I've never
inside.
seen
And it was way louder.
never seen that
I
before.
couldn't hear for a week.
The other thing I noticed was all the trucks. So if you guys watch the video, you'll see all the trucks with all the equipment that they teleport and that they kind of ship all over the country via these 18 wheelers, and it was like a little moving city. It was incredible to watch.
Another takeaway was all the grandkids and kids and different generations that were there.
Yeah,
It wasn't all old fuddy duddies. It was a little bit of everybody. That was cool.
that was fun. So that was a lot of fun doing that with you. The Sports Guys, go to Metallica. Guys, check that episode out. And let's go ahead and get into the material for tonight.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, let's take a moment to do a shout out to our sponsor for tonight, and that's Academy Sports. We're really happy to have them back on the program. They've sponsored us before, and we really love going to Academy. We get absolutely everything there. I got my last set of pickleball shoes there and get a lot of shorts and T-shirts and workout gear and all kinds of really cool stuff. It's an amazing showroom. It's almost like going into a Walmart, but it's even better with all the sports equipment. So, Robbie, what do you love about Academy Sports?
Oh, I love going there when the boys have outgrown everything. It seems like every season we need new everything. They have great prices, great selection. I'm in the I'm in the market for a sliding glove. That's the next purchase. We all just went out and bought new shoes. Everyone got a new pair of shoes, and we are very big fans of Academy Sports. It's nearby. They have great service, great prices, the whole thing. The selections, everything's affordable. So when it's not so painful when we have to keep putting new equipment on the Twins.
What's amazing is they've got football and basketball and baseball and pickleball, and they even had scuba diving equipment and golf, and they just have
Yeah.
every possible sport under the sun. So definitely go check out academy.com when you get a chance, or you can actually order from their app, from the App Store, or any of the applications you can download on your phone. And go check it out, and or visit one of your local stores today. And we'll see you next time.
See.
All right, so the title for tonight's finals are set. The first one, of course, we just talked about, the hockey series. This is a rematch of last year. It begins actually Wednesday night this week, June 4th. Be looking for that. It'll be 8 o'clock, and you can see it on TNT or True. Again, I think this is going to be a fantastic series. I'm pretty sure it's going to go 7. Any other initial thoughts about this one?
You never know how it's going to go. They say that in hockey, you don't really have a series until somebody loses on the road. I think there's a tremendous home ice advantage. For most sports, I think it's probably the strongest home field advantage. But I think that goaltending should win this game, and it should be Florida, this series. But I think the Oilers just want some blood. Like they want revenge. I don't know.
I think Florida's a little better. I think they're a little deeper. You go down to their fourth line, and it's like a lot of teams' first or second line. Like they're just so deep.
Yeah, they're chippy. They hit a lot. They
I think
play
they're a
great
little deeper. I think the Oilers have the 2 best players on the hockey ice rink, and the Panthers have the best goalie in hockey, and maybe the best goalie we've seen in 5 or 10 years. I mean, he's just totally dominant. And
I will say, I think that what I'm asking myself in this series is, which team has a higher likelihood of imposing their style onto the other team effectively?
And I think that's going to be different based on whether they're at home or away. I really do. I think
Correct.
You're right. Nice.
And what somebody's got to do is go steal one to start the other team chasing and getting a little out of sorts and stuff. So,
but that's why I like it to go to 7. I really do. I think that the Oilers are going to play just a different brand of hockey at their home stadium, and I think it's going to go 7. I really do.
You just never know.
We'll see. The next series, of course, you got all these great stars. We talked about Halliburton, we talked about SGA, but there's a lot of other great players on both teams. We're going to get into those tonight, but really exciting to see these really young squads and these young rosters that were put together and how good they are.
Relatively unknowns. Like if you're an NBA fan, you absolutely know who these guys are over the last couple of years. But if you're a casual fan, you don't know most of these guys.
But you know what's amazing is these 2 teams are fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you know how you and I have been complaining about the NBA game for a long time? These 2 teams don't rely on the 3. They go inside. I mean, they slash. They get to the hoop. They get to the rack. They rebound. They box out. I mean, they do all the fundamentals well. They play defense. It's they're fun to watch.
Yeah, they're well coached.
Yeah, well coached. This is gonna be a good series.
And they believe in shooting the mid-range jumper.
That's right. SGA has brought the mid-range jumper back. They talked all about that.
And so is Halliburton.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to that series. Of course, NFL, we've got some NFL stories we're going to get into tonight. Some pretty good ones this week. And then the College World Series we mentioned is in full swing. You got the regionals who just finished up. Now they're moving to the super regionals coming up this weekend. And a lot of the big teams that we were expecting to go a long way, maybe get to Omaha, are already out. So we're going to get into some of those really surprising results. So looking at the rematch, game 1 starts Wednesday night, 8 o'clock on TNT. You've got the Edmonton Oilers. This really surprised me. They're actually favored in the series. They're minus 120 in Vegas right now. Does that surprise you at all?
Not really. I think Florida's season was relatively mediocre for them. And they just caught fire going into the playoffs. I think a lot of people are sort of thinking, they might come down to earth. So,
and also they're looking at Draisaitl and McDavid on the other side.
Yeah. No, when's the last time you saw waves of guys like that coming at you? So, I mean, it's going to be really exciting hockey. I
You
don't
also
know.
get Game 7 in Edmonton, so I think people
Yeah,
are giving a slight edge to Edmonton for that reason because everyone thinks it's going
maybe.
to go 7. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if Edmonton can get it done, have revenge on their minds. This is what the lineup looks like. So you got Wednesday, Friday, then they skip Saturday, Sunday. They go to Monday, then Thursday. I noticed they're giving these teams a lot more rest time in the
Yeah,
finals.
there's longer in between each game, isn't there?
Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, and Friday, if necessary. So it really elongates the schedule. It's pretty incredible. It goes all the way up to June 20th for Game 7.
Yeah.
So this was interesting. Connor McDavid's points per playoff game is now number 1 in hockey history.
Yeah.
51% of his playoff games have been 2-point games at least. 27% 1-point games and 22% with no points. So he's now leading every other player, including all the greats, with playoff points per game.
He's second to Gretzky,
So
and he has 100 assists in 90 games.
are you starting to put him kind of into that category now, McDavid? I mean,
Oh, he's Hall of Fame.
he still needs to prove himself, I think, because he needs to win a cup. But
He needs a cup, you know.
yeah,
He
needs a
needs to
cup.
get a cup.
Yeah, but he's starting to get into that rare air, I think. Ovechkin,
Yep.
those kind of guys.
He's the next great one, you know.
Obviously, Gretzky, Lemieux. So really fun to watch his career as it evolves and as it comes along to see the kind of things he's doing. So looking at the finals matchups, these are what some of the experts are saying about this series. This is a prediction from Real GM Analysis. They say Panthers over Oilers in 6 games, which I was really surprised by that, especially with the first 2 games starting in Edmonton. Any thoughts about Panthers in 6?
I have really a hard time figuring out in how many games. I think that's like trying to predict momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I think in a 7-game series, you tend to have the better team win, and you'll be able to see when they match up against each other in the first 3 games which one's probably the best team.
What this guy Brad was saying in this article was that essentially the Panthers are deeper and they're better and they have the better goaltender. And he said, "Give me that team."
But they did not have that great of a year. Like
Yeah, I know,
they weren't as dominant as last year.
but
So
they're playing that well now. So I don't know. That's what he thinks. Panthers in 6. Next guy was Ian McMillan from Sports Illustrated. He said he likes the Oilers to win the series. He said that he couldn't tell how many games it was going to be, kind of like you. But he thinks that McDavid and team are going to get it done. So that was Ian McMillan. Then we have Amelie Benjamin. He said Oilers in 7. I'm kind of leaning towards it's going to be in 7. I've been deciding the last 2 days who it's going to be. I've actually, yesterday was Oilers, today I was Florida. Now I'm kind of hedging again. But I'm pretty sure if I put my money down, it'd be that it's going to go 7, I think. So this is what some of the analysts are split on: Florida Panthers, Edmonton Oilers, some favoring revenge for the Oilers, others predicting a Panthers repeat. The writers and editors across the entire NHL are all divided between the 2 teams, which makes it really interesting. Todd Cordell believes the series will go over 5 games, and he's actually put money down on that. The Conn Smith Trophy right now is another topic of discussion, with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl being the top 2 to win it, and that's the most valuable player in the finals. The third right now in Vegas is Bobrovsky for that trophy. So any thoughts about why it's so split right now? Is it just that these teams are even, or?
because they played last year and Florida kind of dominated. And I think they looked at Florida's season being a little bit of a step backwards. And I think Edmonton had a step forward. So they kind of are meeting in that space where it could be either way. And I think if everything's equal, you go with the team that wants revenge. I think
But
that's
man,
kind of where that's
the
going.
way the Panthers took the Carolina Hurricanes apart, though, I don't know. They're just playing so well right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really cool when you see this situation. I mean, it's gonna be. To me, it means it's gonna be a good series. I really believe that. Here's
Yeah.
another one. Oilers have good depth, and it's maybe the best they've had in a century. Florida, however, looks like they have the kind of depth that it can be remembered for years. There's times where this playoffs third line looked like a genuine first line, producing points per game, and their fourth line has been a model of what a fourth line should be in hockey with consistent heavy forechecking. So his argument is, yes, the Oilers are deep, but Florida's deeper, and that their third and fourth line are just really good. They could be any other team's first line. So there's some truth to that. I mean, in a long 7-game series, it matters what your third and fourth line look like, right?
Well, yeah, I think both teams have pretty good third and fourth lines. I would just say it's slightly advantage to Edmonton for offense, slightly advantage to Florida for defense and goalie. So it just kind of depends on if it's high scoring or if it's big defense. So I don't know.
Which is why I feel like it feels like these two teams are going to hold serve, and then it's going to come down to Game 7 and whether Florida can steal one on the road.
No idea.
Um,
No
yeah.
idea. Momentum can get involved, and team steals one on the road early, and then starts to get inside the other team's head. And
So
it's
this
impossible to predict 6 or 7 games.
so this comment was a little on the fringe. I honestly think if Florida comes out and plays their game, and Bobrovsky continues his stellar play, they could make it a short series.
That's what
So
I'm saying. It is possible. I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but
I mean, if he is total shutdown goaltender, it's gonna be awfully hard for Edmonton to win.
what I would say is shutdown goaltending starts a snowball effect, where it starts as a small snowball and then you roll it down the hill and it's this massive. The goaltending, once it gets going, starts to become something in the other team's head that I can't I can't score on this guy, so I need to wait for the perfect shot. And they're letting shots go that they should be ripping and not
Mhm,
thinking about.
mhm.
And it happens where a good goaltender, it's just like pitching.
Although
When
sometimes
when a
somehow
good
I
pitcher
think
gets out there and starts striking out guy after guy after guy, you think we can't hit this guy, and it starts to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's
somehow
the
I
same
think
with goaltending in
McDavid
hockey.
and somehow I think McDavid and Draisaitl are not going to let that happen. I just think they're
Yeah,
that
but
good.
as a team, you never know when
Mm,
your team's hanging their head. You're not
yeah,
you can't predict that. So
that's true. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty crazy comment, but maybe. This one is imagine it comes down to a sweep by either team. They said they're both so dominant in their conferences that no one knows what to expect this year. So everyone expects a close series, but that could go either way. A casual 4-0 by one of the teams could be in the fitting. So this is another kind of outrageous comment. I thought I was like, wow, a sweep
it's not inconceivable that one of the teams has a few
gets
things
hot.
go their way and it starts
Yeah,
to
yeah.
snowball.
Well, I mean, if Florida, let's say Florida picks off the first 2 games in Edmonton, then obviously a sweep's possible.
Right.
Um,
Sweep doesn't seem likely at all, but
no, I don't think so. So this is interesting. David Satriano was talking about why this one could go either way, but for me, it comes down to depth, and Florida is just a deeper team up and down the lineup. When your stars aren't producing, you need the depth players too. With 21 of 22 skaters who have played in at least one playoff game scoring a point, and 19 of them having at least one goal, what more can you ask for? So his argument is that Florida is just deeper. They have more guys who produce, and that's separate from their goaltending. So
I don't believe they're deeper on offense. I believe they're deeper on defense, and I think the Oilers against the Stars, they put up 6 goals. I mean, they had 6 different guys score,
what he's
and
saying is he's looking at the stat sheet, and Florida has more guys who contributed at least a point or a goal in the last series than Edmonton
yeah,
did.
I
So that's
don't
what
I don't agree with that at all. I think it's
he's,
fairly even, but I think the offensive advantage is a little bit for Edmonton, and
mm-hmm,
the goaltending and defense advantage towards Florida. And I don't know who wins that, but I think that's what you're looking at is
mm-hmm,
if it's high scoring, it should be Edmonton. And if it's a tight games, it should be Florida.
mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't bet anything on it. It's gonna be a really good matchup.
Yeah, this is a really tough one to call. I mean, when you're sitting at minus 120, that's basically a pick 'em. So this is going to be an interesting series. I'm really excited about it. We'll see what happens. Let's look at the NBA side of things. This game starts Thursday night in Oklahoma City. So they're the home team. They're actually prohibitive favorites. This is the biggest favorite we've had in 11 years. They're minus 750 in this series against the Pacers, which is pretty crazy. I think that's a little bit high. You can get the Pacers right now for plus 550. So you could slap $20 down and plus 550 your money. So what do you think about that? Is that a little bit too big, or is everyone just jumping on the OKC bandwagon?
I think that's too big. I think Indiana's defense is going to keep it close. And while I do think OKC probably going to win this, I don't know. It should be really kind of back and forth.
I thought those odds were pretty incredible when I saw them. I just couldn't believe it.
I love the way Indiana plays as a team, and I love the way they're coached. So
Me too.
I'm not going to quickly root them out, even though OKC looks like they're destined.
That's right. So we talked about SGA. We talked about Halliburton, these two young rise, emerging stars. The NBA just has to absolutely love this. They already have a lot of stars, but now you have two guys that are becoming, household names in this series. So that's
Yeah,
really
and they're small market teams. They're teams from the heartland that are getting some new fans. It's
and
not
you see
LA,
these
New York.
guys in commercials all the time. So even if they're small market, people know them nationally.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
If you
pretty
start to
fun.
get your smaller market teams to be, big time, then your league is going to be in healthier shape.
And Indiana loves basketball. I mean, that state is
Yeah.
basketball crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is what the lineup looks like. You got Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday. Same thing we talked about. They're doing bigger gaps for the finals, trying to avoid each other with the hockey. I thought that was pretty cool. The two teams the two leagues have really coordinated on this, so that you have only one to watch each night. Then they got
Yeah.
Friday, Monday, Thursday, Sunday. So that's what it looks like. And of course, Game 7 would be in OKC. So any thoughts about this lineup?
I mean, it looks great.
We're going to have just total festival of sports the next 2 weeks.
The more rest you have, you can play harder defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're expending way more energy playing defense and offense as hard as you can. And so when they have a little more rest, you're probably going to get better basketball.
I know the theory is that you want to have Lakers Knicks, to get the biggest ratings. I get that, but I think the NBA is really good for this series. I think this is good. This
It's
is
really good.
getting lots of interest in other areas of the country.
It's parity.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. So looking at some of the matchups, Thunder, they're the balanced, explosive, elite on both ends team.
Mm-hmm.
Their regular season net rating was plus 12.7, which was second. Their playoff net rating was an 11.2, which is really good. Of course, their top three performers are SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren, who was their number one pick 2 years ago. So really solid team there. Any thoughts about this very balanced, explosive team?
Gilgeous-Alexander had an amazing year. He is such an impact player, and he's got a lot of nice players around him. Williams and Holmgren definitely have brought incredible seasons forward, relatively unknown. I mean, you've heard their names, of course.
And everybody talks about Indiana's depth, and they do have it. And I do think they're the deepest team in the playoffs this year. But Thunder are pretty deep too. They go down to 11. They play a lot of guys. So I don't know. I think they're both pretty deep. Really young rosters.
That's
Both
definitely nice if you're trying to get to a 7-game series.
They both have been drafting really well the last couple of drafts. I don't know. I think they're pretty fun to watch. So the Pacers are the high octane offense underdog mentality team. They've been kind of feeling like underdog. And I will just do my mea culpa now for all of you guys that I've been writing the Pacers off since the first round. I always picked against them, and I was always proven wrong. The one time I did pick for them was against the Knicks in this last round. I did think they'd win that series, but
I think it's easy to do. They don't play super flashy. They
they
play
were in
incredible team
the Eastern
basketball.
Finals last year, though. So
Yeah.
I should have seen that coming. That they were kind of on the rise.
Well, it comes down to whether you think that was luck or not, and a lot of people did, and they're proving that it wasn't luck. That they're a really good team.
They seem to really like the underdog mentality. I think it helps them.
They love it.
You know, like everybody writes them off like I did. So you look at their regular season net rating at 2.1, it was way below OKC. Their playoff net rating also way below. You look at their top performers, Halliburton, Siakam, who won a championship in Toronto, and Miles Turner has been really fantastic this year. And of course, they go 12 deep on their bench. Thoughts about the Pacers?
Well, like I've said, I really like the way they play team basketball. I think they're incredibly well coached. Super, super underrated coach. And the way they play just drives you a little crazy, and they kind of take you out of your element, and they just kind of wear you down. They have a lot of star power
Mm-hmm.
and guys that are willing to do whatever the team needs. Really good team guys.
They were holding teams about 15 to 20 points under their averages in the playoffs, which is really hard to do in the current NBA. And they do play serious defense. So it keeps them in every game.
Yeah, they play exciting basketball because they keep it close.
That's right. They also have the capability, by the way, to come back with big deficits. There were a
Yeah,
couple of games in these playoffs they won when they were 20 points down or more.
they did that with
Going
the
back.
Knicks.
Yep, that's right. So looking at one of the key statistical edges, you've got, like I said before, the regular season net rating, the postseason net rating, both favor the Thunder. Both of them have a 12-4 playoff record, so that's the same. And then this was interesting. Thunder a little bit better at home, just slightly. So I don't know if that's going to be a factor in this series or not, but it is something I've got my eye on. So
Very
anything there
possible.
you think is an edge? I mean, Thunder clearly have the edge in the net ratings.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean those matter. You know, they matter, but I think it's hard to say if you play against a hard defense all the time, maybe your net rating's not quite as good. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if they played a defense as good as the Pacers. They might get frustrated.
Exactly. A good
So,
defense can really take you out of your element.
so this was really interesting. The one real edge the Pacers have is around defense and rim protection,
Hmm.
and you can see their defensive rating is higher than the Thunder. So, if they're going to make this a series and take it to 6 or 7, which I think they can, it's going to be around this statistic right here: defense and rim protection.
Yeah,
They just
got to
got a
keep it
lot.
close.
They have a lot of big bodies, So you talked about the slapping the floor. It's partly slapping the floor. I agree with that, but it's also protecting that rim, which they
Right.
do.
It's technique too. It's not just heart, but most of defense is heart,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be skilled as well. But it's really about effort.
What do you have to say about Carlisle, the coach? I mean, of course, we know him well from UVA, but he's just really proven himself the last 2 seasons, I think.
I think he's done a good job for a long time, and I think he needs to be considered with the best coaches. And he's finally getting his guys some recognition. So I think he's an incredible coach.
He's one of the best coaches in the NBA.
Yeah, and he's not thought of that way, so it's crazy.
I know. Yeah, I'm really proud of him, how he's done this year. So, simulated series outcomes. This was pretty interesting. A Thunder sweep, 33%. They ran it through a computer, and it came out 33% a sweep. It came out 32% OKC in 5, 18% OKC in 6, 9% OKC in 7, and then only 6% that Indiana would win this series. That's what the computer simulation was, and that's with all the stats included. So you can see why they're minus 750 in Vegas. So do you think this is true? Is it this lopsided, or is that just a simulation and that they're not taking into account the heart aspect?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem right to me, but I think it's gonna be a really good series.
I mean,
I
they're
can't tell
ahead.
you 6 or 7 or anything like that, but I think that it should be really, really close.
I mean, like the hockey series, clearly there's no heavy favorite in that one. Okay, everyone's split, but in this one, it's not split. Everyone's
Yeah.
picking the Thunder,
Yeah.
except for like one or two people. So, um, I think it makes the Pacers kind of the underdogs, and there's a lot of people that if they
No
don't care
question.
about either team, they root for the underdog. So you're going to get a part of the fan base that roots for the Pacers because it looks like they don't have a chance. So,
Yeah, they definitely fill the underdog role. They're not just telling themselves that. I mean, listen to the pundits. They see them as an underdog. But the way they play hard is perfect for underdogs pulling off some crazy wins.
mhm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think this is a little bit lopsided. This and the Vegas odds are a little bit skewed against what's reality. So we shall see. So here's some of the predictions. If you look at the two regular season games, Thunder won them both. The game in Indiana was a little closer than the one in OKC, but Thunder did win both, so they're 2-0 against them this year. In terms of the odds, we talked about OKC Thunder, heavy favorites. Indiana Pacers, you can get them at plus 500 or plus 550 at the window right now if you want to try to go for your odds there. Most analysts predict OKC Thunder to defeat the Indiana Pacers. Thunder are heavily favored due to their depth, efficiency, and overall stronger team. You've got analysts like Kurt Helen, Kevin Pelton, Brad Botkin. They all predict Thunder to win in 7 games. Other analysts think that the Thunder are going to win in 6 games. So interesting. It's pretty well unanimous out there. Everyone thinks they're going to win in either 6 or 7. So Corey says this series is going to go full 7, and that Halliburton and the Pacers ultimately emerged victorious. So this is the one guy I could find who went on a limb and said that the Pacers are going to steal Game 7 in OKC and give the franchise its first NBA title. So that was pretty cool to see Corey go on a limb there. This one was NBA.com. OKC defeats Indiana in 6 games or OKC sweeps. They think those are the two possibilities.
I don't see that one, but
Yeah, I could see OKC in 6. That's possible.
6 maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So this was interesting. This is what Colin Cowherd thinks. He said the starters, but the Pacers have an advantage when it comes to depth. Indiana has 11 players that average at least 15 minutes per game, and that's why they can go. And that's why they can run all game. In other words, they're in incredible shape and they can run you out of the gym. OKC is going to have to slow the game down. And then he said, in the end, I'm going with OKC in 7. Who you got? So it felt like the way he wrote this, he was going to pick Indiana, but then in the end, he goes with OKC because they're the better team. I did notice OKC has quite a height advantage as well in the starting 5. So
Yeah, Indiana's real athletic. And they play really good defense and they harass you.
that's right. So any kind of agreement here with Colin Cowherd? Indiana's deeper, OKC's better on the starting 5.
No, I think that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I can disagree with him here in his analysis. Well, looking at the baseball playoffs and the regionals, these were the national top 16 seeds when we started the tournament. You can see Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, Auburn, North Carolina. Those are your top 5. You got LSU, Georgia, Oregon State, Florida State, Ole Miss. Those are your second 5. And then Clemson, Oregon, Coastal Carolina, Tennessee, UCLA, and Southern Miss. So that's where we started the tournament last week. So now what happened over the weekend was number 4 Wright State defeated number 1 Vanderbilt and knocked them out of the tournament. So that was incredible. And then Utah Valley shocked number 1 Oregon, knocked them out of the tournament. Utah Valley. And then Stetson knocks NC State out of the tournament. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then you had a bunch of other upsets we'll talk about. But any thoughts about why so many of these big behemoths are going down this year and just flaming
know.
out
I guess
like that? A lot of them are hosting regionals and losing.
Pitching's more spread out, maybe.
And a lot of these smaller schools are getting like really clutch hits in 8th and 9th inning and stealing games.
Remember, all you need is one or two great starters, and the whole thing gets skewed.
Mm-hmm.
The better team might not win. So
you're going to have some really good teams go to Omaha, and you're going to have some really surprising teams go to Omaha, I think.
yeah.
Like you're going to be like, what the heck's Wright State doing there? You know, it's going to make it really interesting. It feels a little bit like March Madness. They wanted it to be March Madness.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Yeah. So Wright State, of course, takes out number 1 Vanderbilt. Complete shocker. One of the biggest upsets in a long time in baseball. Nobody saw that one coming at all. Georgia Tech goes down, so it's another ACC team eliminated, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Georgia goes down. So this is the number 7 team. Georgia goes down. So that was kind of a shocker. I thought they might make a move and go to Omaha. Florida goes down to East Carolina. I was pretty proud of the Pirates taking out the Gators. Pretty big upset there.
Yeah.
Ole Miss knocks out another ACC team, Georgia Tech. They got eliminated. That was unfortunate. Losing to an SEC squad. NC State beats Stetson to eliminate them, and then NC State gets eliminated in the next game. So that was unfortunate. NC State goes down. Clemson gets eliminated in their own regional.
They got crushed
by Kentucky. So ACC, the struggles in every single sport continues. I don't know what is going on with this conference, but just struggles. UC Irvine knocks out Arizona State. That was a really good game. I actually watched that game. Wake Forest hammers Cincinnati and knocks them out. Oklahoma knocks out North Carolina. So that was a huge upset. Everyone thought this might be North Carolina's year. They really felt like the best team out of the ACC, and they just didn't do well in this tournament. And then, of course, Oklahoma then knocks out Nebraska as well. So they knocked out 2 teams, North Carolina and Nebraska. So any thoughts about some of these early returns and
bigger upsets than I can remember?
Big upsets and real struggles for the ACC, which I hate to report, but it's just a fact.
Yeah.
Some of these, I mean, you have Clemson and North Carolina. They get everything you want. You're at home. You get to sleep in your own bed. You get your own facilities. You get your own.
But it wasn't just the ACC. It was top seeded teams struggled.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really disappointing. I mean, ACC is a pretty good baseball conference. So basically, we got to ride Wake Forest now all the way.
Yeah,
that's all we got. Everyone's been knocked out. NC State knocked out. Duke knocked out.
Carolina.
Yeah. So I don't know. Very surprised so far, but it's been really great baseball. I've really enjoyed watching it. Been watching as many games as I can. Some of the NFL news this week. This was really interesting to look at. You have Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be the number 1 pick, and he had all the money, and Daniel Jones got paid too. And then you look at these guys' records, and it's just abysmal in their first 60 starts. You have Trevor Lawrence is barely edging out Daniel Jones in yards. He's, essentially tied in passes and interceptions. He's got essentially the same passer rating. His completion percentage is below Daniel Jones's. So what is the explanation on these two? Is it that you just joined 2 bad franchises and started their careers at bad places? Or
I think that hurts.
Or is it that they're not as good as we thought they were?
I think one of the biggest factors is when you go to a bad franchise, bad organization that doesn't develop players well, you're going to struggle.
I mean, we talk about all the time, the situation is almost as important as where you get chosen in the draft or where or your skill set overall. If you're going to go to a bad situation with no weapons, no offensive line, get hurt all the time. So really interesting to see that these 2 guys are on similar paths, and you never would have guessed that when they both got drafted. Both just really abysmal starts to their career. We'll see if they can salvage it. This is pretty cool. Hey, you okay? What's on your mind? football nonstop every day. Football.
Mhm.
So
That's about right.
I think a lot of football fans feel that way, and they're really starting to think about the season now. Today marks exactly 100 days until the start of the season. So close. So it really is getting pretty close now. You're talking about 3 months out.
Mm-hmm.
Opening day. So Abdul Carter asked Lawrence Taylor for number 56. Jackson Dart has never slid in his life. Darius Alexander likes to kill his opponent's will and watch them cry to their coach. Cam Scatabo runs into telephone poles for fun. Thomas Fedoni tattoos himself. And the headline is, the Giants had drafted a bunch of lunatics. Scatabo runs into telephone poles for fun.
He did growing up.
I know. What do you think about these guys? Maybe it's okay to get a bunch of guys that are a little touched. Like
Well,
if
it's
you're
good.
trying,
They got some edge, so they'll
if
play.
you're trying to change the culture, right? Then get
Yeah.
guys with an edge. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, that's pretty funny. I love it. It's good stuff. So
Yeah.
this was pretty interesting. So the first 2 times the Panthers went to the Super Bowl in that year, Ohio State won the national championship. They opened with the Jaguars. J-Lo got divorced that year, and then we went to the Super Bowl, the Panthers. So this year, Ohio State won the championship. We opened with the Jaguars, and J-Lo just divorced Ben Affleck. So
Did she really?
Is it our year? Do you think it's possible, Robbie?
Well, yeah. I mean, the evidence is there.
Yeah, I mean,
J-Lo got divorced.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't think so.
You don't think it works this way?
No.
I don't know. It kind of, the stars are aligning a little bit here. Hopefully, I thought it was interesting. So this is pretty interesting. Kirby Smart says that some of his recruits, they pay $20,000 a month just to stay committed to Georgia. That's where NIL is now.
Well, that's why the SEC is taking over in every sport. They have the money, and they're using it. And they're
So how do you run a program where you have to pay these players $20,000 a month? Let's say they're like a cornerback or something.
The question is, how do you compete when you don't have those kind of resources?
You can't. Everyone just transfers. So
Yeah.
doesn't it feel like blackmail a little bit? Like if you don't like something, you just, I guess I'm
Kind of. Yeah, because if you think about, other sports, no other sport has free agency every single year. You can just leave whenever you want for more money.
You can tell even
No
guys like
sport
him,
has that.
even guys like Kirby Smart, you can tell it's really starting to bother him now. Like there's no loyalty at all. Zero. And he's basically bribing these guys to stay. Basically what he's doing.
Yeah, but I don't really want to hear it from Georgia. They're the ones doing the bribing. Everyone else is watching them do it and doesn't have the money. And so everyone else sits back and doesn't get those 5-star recruits.
Yeah, but do you think this is really what NIL was supposed to do? It was supposed to
No.
compensate these guys so they could do a little like car commercial for the local car dealership or something. That's what NIL was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not having
It
these
was
guys
never thought of that a player would make $10 million in a year.
$20K a month just so he won't transfer. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
It's starting to really bug me. And you have a roster of 90 players. So like you need millions of dollars to bribe these guys to stay.
They're losing all their backups. They're losing all their depth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I think that's why Saban retired. I think that's why a lot of these guys, Tony Bennett.
Yeah, they couldn't do it.
They saw the writing on the wall and didn't want to deal with it. I thought that was interesting. In other news, this was the interesting, if you look back at all the NBA championships and all the franchises, look in the 40s, Golden State, you got the Lakers a bunch of times in the 50s. Then the Celtics dominated the 60s. They won every single one except for one. Really fun to watch that. And then you see 80s, it was Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, Celtics. In 90s, it was all Bulls and Pistons and Rockets. Then 2000s, you got Lakers and Spurs are dominant. A little bit of Miami Heat in there. 2010s Miami Heat, you got those were LeBron's two, and plus his one in Cleveland. Then you had a bunch of Steph Curry and Golden State championships. And then the 2020s, you got kind of a mix now. Nobody's really repeated. So what do you think of this? It looks like parity has come to the league because
Yeah, this is that old argument from Colin Cowherd about it's better for the NBA to have dynasties, and I don't agree. I think parity in the NBA sells, and I think it will show that the small market teams might not pack it out too hard right now, but they might do well. People want new teams in there.
I was realizing that I was reading that Jordan won 6 out of 8, and I didn't realize that till I saw this chart. He won 6 out of 8, and the 2 that he didn't win, he was playing baseball.
Yeah.
And then those 2 years he was playing baseball, it was Olajuwon and Sampson. So pretty cool. Think about that whole decade. It was basically, Bulls and Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
So really interesting. I think there's a lot more parity now. It's pretty clear. You can see it's really hard to repeat now. So this was amazing. Look at this guy's month, Scotty Scheffler. Okay, in April he comes in third at the Masters, almost wins it. In May he wins first at the Byron Nelson. He wins first at the PGA Championship in Charlotte. He gets fourth at the Charles Schwab Championship and wins $427,000 there. And then he just won $4 million at the Memorial by winning first there. So he made $10 million in 30 days.
The ends are meeting.
And that's without his endorsements,
Yeah.
I mean, is there any golfers hotter right now than this guy? You know how hard it is to win back-to-back tournaments?
No, he's on fire right now.
It's unbelievable. It must look like the green is so huge to him when he's hitting like this.
Yeah, something.
Like you just can't miss it.
The muscle memory is there.
Yeah, and his putts, the hole must look huge.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Scotty Scheffler, what a month. This was amazing. Cooper Flagg made $28 million at Duke. He's 19.
That's a lot of money.
So he has 28 mil in the bank going to the pros. Goodness. I mean, times have really changed, Robbie.
Well, Dion said he didn't like it because they don't arrive hungry. They arrive.
So that's my question to you about him he's amazing. I mean, they were calling him out a year ago, how amazing this guy was. Like he could be on an Olympic team.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think he's going to be hungry enough to be a great player at the next level when he has 28 mil in the bank?
I would say maybe, but it's not 100% that he's going to have that fire in the belly.
I think he's going to want to be a great player.
I do too, personally, but I think it's definitely a gamble.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's only been about a year since we've been talking about NIL, and I just cannot believe what it's gotten to. It's just incredible to me. It's not just Chick-fil-A money anymore. So this is interesting. The recipe to the success: you got to have a star. You have to have a guy named Jalen. You have to have a defensive guy. You have to have a skinny white guy, and you have to have a guy named Derek White. What do you think about that?
Good recipe.
Yeah, because you had the Celtics last year, and then you have the OKC this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's talk about our subscriber challenge for the week. And it's just very simple. And Rob and I are going to have to go on record. We want you guys to go on record when you drop us a comment tonight. Who will win each series and in how many games? And I know that's tough, Robbie, but we got to go on record now. So here we go. This is the finals lineup. We got Halliburton, Gilgeous-Alexander. Game 1 starts this week. Robbie, what are you saying?
I'm going to go against conventional wisdom. I'm going Indiana in 6.
No way.
Yeah.
So you and the other guy are the only people in the country.
Yeah, I'm alone out on this limb.
Wow. All right, guys, drop us a comment. What do you think of Rob going out on a limb? He says Halliburton and the Pacers and their depth in 6.
And their coaching.
Tell us what you guys think about that pick. I'm going to go OKC in 6. I don't think even guessed a 7. I think
Okay.
OKC is clearly the better team, and I think they will prove so. But I don't think it'll be a sweep or anything. I think it'll be at least 6. So
It
let's
won't be a
talk
sweep.
about hockey. This series, I think, is going to be even closer. It's going to be really tough. This is the rematch everybody wanted. Robbie, remember Game 7's in Edmonton this year. Last year was in Florida. So that's a big difference, I think.
I'm gonna go Oilers.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I've changed my mind like 300 times the last 2
Yeah,
days. I'm
me
not
too.
kidding. I'm not kidding.
If you asked me tomorrow, I'd say something different.
I got to go Florida. I just think they're the better team. I think all the way down to the third and fourth line. I think those lines make a difference in Game 5, Game 6. I like Florida in 6. I don't think it even gets to Edmonton. I think Bobrovsky is MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, guys. Drop us a comment. Who you think is going to win these 2 series? You got to go on record now, and we'll go ahead and enjoy the next 2 weeks of great action. All right, so before we go over to Rob's mailbag and news segment, I've got 2 cool things I posted here. One was that great Metallica concert Rob mentioned. I thought this was a great picture, Robbie, of of James holding up the Metallica T-shirt. We saw some of those in the crowd. So can't say enough. I cannot say enough how much fun that was with you. And that picture you see to the left there was Rob and me in the stands at the Bank of America Stadium enjoying the concert. Any thoughts about that Hetfield T-shirt?
Well, it was interesting. I really felt like that was straight out of Iron Maiden, um, which is one of my favorite bands also. But the show
The art,
itself is incredible.
yeah.
That is a silly picture of me, so that's cool. Good job on that. Um, and we had a good time. We sat next to some really cool guys from Charleston,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just a great show. So that was fun.
So the other thing I posted here, of course, the sad news that Coach O'Connor is leaving UVA baseball. He's going to Mississippi State. He essentially thanked UVA profusely for his 22 years elevating our program, but was very honest and candid that he felt like he could compete much more easily in the SEC with the current system of transfer portal and NIL. And I know that was just a dagger to the heart of every UVA fan because it's something we know, but it's pretty clear that the SEC is really dominant right now. So is the Big Ten, and I don't know what we're going to do to get ourselves out of it, but we keep losing these Hall of Fame coaches, and it's pretty painful. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a real shame to see everyone just leaving. The players are transferring to where the money is in the SEC and the Big Ten, and now the coaches are going to because it's easier to get good players in your system. So it's something's going to have to be done because it's not going to fix itself on its own.
When you go do the search right now, Carla Williams, who I have had a lot of problems with for a couple of years, she keeps losing these great coaches. But in her search, how are you going to convince somebody to come to Virginia when they're coming to subpar situation from a money perspective?
You can't.
And they know immediately they can't compete in the current system.
You're going to try and get a Coastal Carolina coach or a East Carolina or something, but
And hope that they can strike
and hope
magic
that
on
they
them.
make it big, but it's really a shot in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just want to thank Coach O'Connor for a great 22 years. How much fun did we have with him taking us to Omaha a bunch of times and
It was awesome.
winning a championship, taking us to the finals a couple times, and total class act. I can't even say how
Yeah.
proud we were to have him as our coach. Robbie, I'm going to hand it to you, man.
Okay. Let's see. We've got not a lot of news tonight. We've covered several other things, so I'm just going to go mailbag. Great update as always, guys. DPT coaching. So that was from our last week's update.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. Thanks for the comment. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We enjoy so much bringing you guys these weekend recaps because there's just so much going on in sports, and we want to share it with you guys.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun putting these together and watching the games and getting putting our perspective on it, and just like we'd be just sitting in our car, Tommy, talking every morning. Next one, you nailed the Metallica experience at Harvey.
That's awesome. Thanks, Harvey. Yeah, we thought it would be a good idea to have that walk-up video, have the closeout video, show you as many of the music videos as we can. And so we're glad you enjoyed the experience because I know we did.
Yeah, hopefully everyone got a little flavor that they're still really sounding good and very professional and delivering a good show. And it's encouraging to see rock shows that are still getting it like that. Next one, Sports Guyz always bring the fire at Kenneth.
Man, thanks, Kenneth.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much. What a great comment.
And that was the Metallica show also, comments about that.
We're trying to bring the fire as much as we can.
All right. And then last one, why am I here? Why did they send me here? At Steve. Steve, I had to put that in there because I loved it so much. I have no idea why you were sent there. I'm sorry you were disappointed. I think it's the funniest comment I've read.
That's hilarious.
I love it. I hope you're having a great day out there and that you found out why you got sent to us. I just thought it was so funny. I had to include it.
I'm glad you did because Rob was saying a couple weeks ago, guys, that he was wondering why we never get any negative comments. And that was the first one we had seen in a long time. So, yeah, sorry you got misdirected to us. Hopefully you went ahead and subscribed and at least enjoyed a little bit of the programming. So
it was just funny trying to figure out what he was talking about. Like,
that's right.
Who brought him here? I don't know. So anyway, good job, Steve. Thanks for the comment. And sorry you ended up with us, but we were glad to have you anyway. And that's the mailbag.
Well, thank you, Robbie. That was good stuff there.
Yeah.
So, anyway, great wrap up of the playoffs. I've really enjoyed every single minute of it this year, especially the NBA has been surprisingly good. The hockey is always good. I knew the hockey would be good, but the NBA has been really, really enjoyable. And I think both of these series are going to be really good, and I'm excited to see what happens. I do think in both cases, the teams need to get off to a good early start. I think if the Pacers are to fulfill your prediction, they need to steal one of those first two games. There's just no question.
I think that's right.
They can't go down 2-0 to OKC, I don't think. And then, same thing with the Oilers. If the Oilers are going to win it, they have to hold serve and maybe try to steal one in Florida. So,
yeah, I agree with that.
And they got to figure out what is the key to beating Bobrovsky because nobody else has figured it out. So,
well, I mean, he got pulled a few times this year. He's beatable. It's just when he's in the zone, it's terrible. He's a big goalie and he just fills the net and he just blocks everything.
He stones more guys from right in front than I've ever seen before. He just stones people from 3 feet out. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think it's because he's so large too. Like
he's just big and he fills up the net and he's very highly skilled. He's got incredible instincts.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's true. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch starting this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We've got a couple of other programs coming this week that are going to be really exciting and fun. I know you guys are going to like when those two drop. And any final thoughts, Robbie?
Not much. Looking forward to the two series and seeing kind of what happens in College World Series. And hopefully the stars will shine and the new stars will emerge in the NBA. And I know that hockey's in a good place when they have their best two teams clashing in the Stanley Cup, trying to raise the cup. So we're in for a treat, I think.
Guys, we're about to hit 25K in subscribers. Thank you guys so much. We're going to put a little special banner up on the site once we hit 25K because that's a huge, huge barrier for us and a big milestone. So Thank you
Yeah,
guys
we're
so much.
excited. We're right on the edge of it. So
Well,
get
guys,
your friends to subscribe.
yeah, we would appreciate that. Guys,
We
have a
would.
great night. We'll see you next time on the Sports Guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us.